Well, Twitter was valued at $18 billion when it floated on the New York Stock Exchange in November. Shares in Twitter dropped to their lowest levels since the company's stock market flotation, as it reported slower than expected user growth yesterday. Well, what does the future hold for the social media and social networking site? For some perspective, let's speak to Louis Eckstein. He's Managing Director of Twisted Toast Digital. Louis, evening to you.
Good evening.
What's happening with Twitter? These numbers are disappointing.
Yes, it's disappointing in one way, and that is because the investors wanted better numbers. The numbers itself weren't that bad, let's be honest. I mean, they showed some really good growth in active users, and their engagement metrics were all up, but they weren't up enough. And Twitter is still a loss-making company. And I think if you think back to the internet bubble in sort of the 2000s, early 2000s, a lot of companies were listed on the stock exchanges in America that, didn't have a business plan. They didn't know where their money was going to come from. And at present, that has changed completely. Investors are interested in profit. And you can clearly see that if you compare Twitter with Facebook. Facebook has been extremely successful in turning advertising dollars into profit, whereas Twitter has not been that successful yet.
And what is the problem? What are the challenges when it's seemingly making a loss, but the number of users is growing at this rate?
Now, that's an interesting point. It's indicative of where media in general is today and where advertising is. You need really, really big numbers. The monthly active user base of Twitter is 255 million. We're talking about a massive audience here. But Facebook's number is 1 billion. Actually, a little bit more than 1 billion. So it's all in relation to each other. So if you want to reach somebody on their mobile phone through advertising, then Facebook is probably a better option at this point in time because you're going to reach more people. The second comparison that's valid between Twitter and Facebook when it comes to advertising is Facebook knows almost everything about its users.
Yes.
Not only their names, but where they stay, what they're interested in, what movies they like, what books they read, who their friends are, etc. So Facebook has closed that loop where it knows everything about you and it can see what you do all the time. Whereas Twitter allows you to have any name. I mean, there's this phenomenon of parody accounts on Twitter,
yes.
Which is fun to follow, but it doesn't translate into a good sale to advertisers.
I mean, how does Twitter maneuver this in order perhaps to pick up some lessons from Facebook without losing its essence?
Well, if I knew that,
you'd be making money.
I'll be telling myself to Facebook. It's a difficult conundrum. There are no easy answers for that. What Twitter has been doing is they've created new and interesting what they call advertising units, and they are injecting advertising messages into their news feeds or their Twitter streams in a hopefully unobtrusive way, and they call this sort of native advertising is the jargon word for that. It basically just means is they want you to not notice the advertising.
I mean, that's the real danger, though, because we're very wary of something that is intrusive, yet you do actually, the service itself has to make money.
Yes, my personal opinion is that is where media is increasingly trending towards, is advertising messages that are not recognizable as such. Facebook has been very clever in how they market themselves to advertisers because they offer them these status updates and things as unobtrusive sort of advertising in inverted commas. Twitter has not really cracked that yet. Although, having said that, the advertising revenue is significantly up. It's just not as much as the investors expected. So I don't personally think that the future for Twitter is anything but rosy. I think Twitter will make a lot of money going forward, but they just need to find a way of attracting additional users. You know, people in the media, people in marketing, people sort of in the know love Twitter. You know, I mean, you could see that at the Oscars when Ellen DeGeneres tweeted that amazing selfie picture.
Yes.
I mean, the media went crazy about that. But the normal person in the street, perhaps, is not that interested in Twitter yet. And if Twitter can crack that, and I'm sure they will, especially on mobile devices, cell phones, tablets, then they will be able to offer advertisers a more compelling story, really, you know.
All right, Louis, thanks so much for your time. I'll be watching that with a very keen interest. He's the managing director of Twisted Toast Digital.